Hey, this is LA from LA Show. Thank you so much for tuning back into another episode of LA Show's current events. Please hit the subscribe button and notification bell for more. Now let's get into these stories.
That's Jamal Bell. That's one of the police brutality victims that I work with. He was in his house. The police opened his door because it wasn't locked. He was cleaning up. The police came in, told him to drop what was in his hands in his own home. He walked towards them. They shot him 11 times, the majority of them in his crotch. He is permanently disabled. And then they charged him with assault. He is currently on trial for assault in Weber County. So don't come in my comments and tell me all lives matter when white mass shooters like Dylan Roof can murder 8 people and be captured alive. But this man in his own home was shot. He survived, but now he's on trial for assaulting an officer when he never put his hands on them. They said him stepping towards them was assault. Black Lives Matter.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to LA Show. I thought we'd get right to the point and listen to some stories that are very similar and also very important for us. I got an article off of standard.net. Weber County authorities release body cam video from police shooting with Harrisville man. This was posted on April 4th of 2019. The video of the March 23rd confrontation between Jamal Bell and the 3 officers who responded to a call at his Harrisville apartment has been released to the media. The footage from the body camera of one of the 3 officers shows Bell, critically injured by police in the incident, walking towards the officers from inside his apartment after they arrive on the scene, something in each hand. Then he retreats back into his apartment and the officers slowly follow, but remain just outside the front entrance of the unit. "Drop the knife now," officers repeatedly shout. "Take another step forward, I will shoot you," another shouts. Bell, facing the officers from inside his apartment with his arms outstretched, doesn't say anything in response and doesn't appear to drop the items in his hand. Knives, officials say. Then he again walks towards the officers slowly. Amid much shouting, the officers repeatedly fire from outside the apartment through the open front door, and Bell, inside the apartment about 15 feet away, falls to the ground. The Weber County Attorney's Office released the video Thursday after showing it to Bell's parents earlier in the day. The 3 officers involved each wore body cameras during the March 23rd incident, and Chris Allred, the county attorney, said the video release was the most complete of the 3 versions. It was not edited, he said, though footage prior to the confrontation, as the officers looked for Bell's apartment at the Harrisville complex, was not included in the video publicly released. Lex Scott, who has pressed for release of the video and as of head of Black Lives Matter Utah, has blasted the March 23rd police response as excessive, spoke to Bell's parents after they saw the video. The man's mother, who's been advised by legal counsel not to publicly comment, said it was very difficult to watch, Scott said. In a Facebook comment after release of the video, Scott reiterated her charge that authorities used too much force. Those officers' lives were not in danger. They did not try to negotiate or calm the situation, she wrote. Police were called to Bell's apartment at 2510 North Charleston Avenue on a report of domestic disturbance, and Scott says police fired on him 11 times during the subsequent confrontation, critically injuring him. After the shooting, he's on the ground moaning as officers await the arrival of an ambulance. "Stay with us, guy. We got medical coming," says one officer. Bell remained hospitalized as of Thursday at McKay D. Hospital in Ogden, recovering from the injuries he sustained, gunshot wounds to his pelvic area, chest, and foot, said Scott. The officers and medical personnel in the video note wounds to Bell's chest, hands, leg, and femur. Authorities say Bell had a knife in each hand when met by the officers, and that he advanced on them despite repeated commands to stop and drop the knives. They unsuccessfully tried to stop him with a taser and then fired on him after he moved forward, according to a press release from the Harrisville Police Department later in the day on March 23rd. The video conveys the attempted taser use and the officers shouting commands at Bell. Allred's office has yet to determine whether Bell will face charges and has yet to make a determination on whether the officers were justified in their actions, Allred said. The officers, one each from the Harrisville, North Ogden, and Pleasant View police departments, have been placed on administrative leave during the injury, per standard procedure. I got another article here from abc4.com. Man shot by police to face trial on assault charges. This was posted December 13th of 2019. A man shot by police will stand trial. A Weber District Court judge ruled Friday that there's enough evidence for Jamal Bell to go to trial. The ruling follows Bell's preliminary hearing in which police and his wife testified about the danger he posed during an incident in March. Harrisville police responded to a domestic disturbance and found Bell wielding 2 knives in his hand. Officers shot multiple times after they claimed Bell refused to obey their command and continued moving in the officer's direction. Nick Taylor, one of the officers who responded to the 911 call, testified about the moment he and others decided to shoot. He had a knife, said Taylor. I told him to drop the knife, but he didn't. He said Bell kept moving in his direction and noticed a smile on his face while holding knives in both hands. Officers tasered Bell, but it didn't stop him, according to Taylor. He claimed that he warned Bell if he took another step towards them, he would be shot. Bell wouldn't stop. I feared for my life, Taylor said. He was too close. Under the code, an assault can be an attempt to cause somebody bodily injury, or in this particular case, a threat of violence, said prosecutor Brandon Miles. But Bell's attorney claimed he only took 2 steps towards the officer and admits Bell failed to comply, but did not assault the officers. Bell left the courtroom without offering any comment. His parents also declined to comment. His supporters felt disappointed that the charges weren't dropped and that this specific law is unfair. I want you guys to tell me what you think about this particular incident. Also, be aware that the wife alleged to the lawyer of Bell that nothing took place and warranted the police to be there. But that's up for debate. Let me know what you guys think about this story down below. I got an article here from usatoday.com. Get your damn story straight. What we know about Louisville woman Breonna Taylor's death. This was posted May 14th of 2020. Criticism of Louisville police is mounting as national attention turns to the March shooting death of Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old EMT who was killed by police in her own home. Taylor died March 13th after police entered her home in the early morning hours as part of a narcotics investigation. Police say they began shooting after one of the officers was shot and injured. But a lawsuit filed against the Louisville Metro Police Department claims the officers weren't looking for Taylor or her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, and no drugs were found in their home. Walker's defense attorney has claimed in court filings that Walker fired in self-defense, believing the home was being broken into because police didn't announce themselves. Though Taylor was killed nearly 2 months ago, her case gained national attention recently after prominent activist Shaun King posted about her story on social media. Since then, Taylor's family has hired civil attorneys Benjamin Crump, who is also representing the family of Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man who was shot and killed by 2 white men in Georgia in late February. Attorneys for Taylor's family said Wednesday that Louisville police are desperate to cover up the shooting. It seems to me like they're just trying to cover their tracks from day one, said Sam Aguiar, a Louisville-based attorney representing Taylor's family. Get your damn story straight. Spokespeople for the police department have declined to answer many questions about the case asked by the Courier-Journal, part of the USA Today network, citing an ongoing internal investigation into Taylor's shooting. Who was Breonna Taylor? Taylor, age 26, was a certified EMT who had 2 jobs at hospitals in Louisville. Her mother, Tamika Palmer, told the Louisville Courier-Journal that Taylor was a young woman who adored her family above all else and who had made plans to succeed. Why were police at Breonna Taylor's home? Taylor was not the main target of the narcotics investigation that prompted Louisville Metro police officers to enter her home, but officers had a search warrant for her in her apartment that included a no-knock provision, meaning that police could enter her house without identifying themselves as law enforcement. Records showed that police believed that a suspect in the narcotics investigation, Jamarcus Glover, used Taylor's home to receive mail, keep drugs, or stash money earned from the sale of drugs. However, according to the lawsuit filed by Taylor's family, police had identified Glover at a home more than 10 miles from Taylor's apartment before they executed the warrant at her residence. There is no body camera footage available. Police Chief Steve Conrad said the Criminal Interdiction Squad does not use that equipment. What is a no-knock warrant? Police can seek no-knock entry, meaning they don't have to identify themselves before entering a residence or business if there is a reasonable suspicion that knocking would be dangerous, futile, or inhibit the effective investigation of the crime, according to Louisville Metro police policies. Civil rights advocates have long complained that no-knock warrants are dangerous and unnecessary. In this case, police said it was necessary at Taylor's house because these drug traffickers have a history of attempting to destroy evidence, have cameras on the location that compromise detectives once an approach to the dwelling is made, and have a history of fleeing from law enforcement. Even with the no-knock warrant, Louisville police have said they identified themselves before using a battering ram to enter Taylor's residence. What happened when police entered? The lawsuit claims that Taylor and her boyfriend, Walker, woke up to the unannounced entry and believed their home was being broken into. Eager said Walker acted in self-defense and fired 1 gunshot. The bullet hit Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, and police say officers returned fire. The lawsuit says that officers failed to use any sound, reasonable judgment and fired more than 25 blind shots into multiple homes. Eager, Walker's attorney, has said he inspected the apartment building where Taylor lived and found evidence of 20 gunshots fired into the building, some of which entered other apartments. During the gunfire, Taylor was struck at least 8 times and died. However, police may have initially believed it was Taylor, not Walker, who shot at police, according to a search warrant obtained for Taylor's home hours after she was killed. According to Walker's arrest citation, he gave a statement shortly after the incident that said he was the sole person to fire a weapon in Taylor's apartment. What happened after Taylor's death? A day after Taylor's death, police said they were opening an internal investigation into the shooting and had placed the 3 officers involved on administrative leave. Officials still calling Taylor a suspect said she was shot and killed after 3 officers returned fire in her home. Walker, age 27, was charged with attempted murder of a police officer. Conrad, the police chief, said at the time it wasn't known if Taylor was armed or how many shots the officers and the suspects fired. Later that month, Walker was released from jail on home incarceration, infuriating local police union officials. What do we know about the police involved? 3 Louisville Metro Police Department officers served the warrant on Taylor's home: Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly and officers Brett Hankinson and Miles Cosgrove. They are all on administrative leave. Mattingly was shot in the leg and taken to a nearby hospital where he underwent surgery. Cosgrove was previously sued for excessive force by a man he shot in 2006 at a Speedway gas station after the man allegedly backed his car toward the officer at a high rate of speed. A federal judge eventually sided with Cosgrove in the case, according to the court records. The lawsuit claims that Hankinson has a prior history of unnecessary force and corruption within his employment, and that his use of force history documents dozens of situations where he has sent citizens to the hospital for injuries from being tased, pepper sprayed, and struck repeatedly in the nose and eyes. Kamala Harris and Kentucky's governor call for a federal investigation. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and Democratic California Senator Kamala Harris are among those calling for a federal investigation into Taylor's death. Police have said an internal investigation is being conducted, but a federal investigation would instead assign that responsibility to investigators outside the city. You know, this is some really sickening stuff right here. A black man trying to defend his home, his girlfriend, and, you know, watching her go through the pain and everything that she went through. And us just listening to these type of stories could give us PTSD, can mess with us mentally. You know, I just don't understand what is going on out here that's making these police officers turn up on this type of level. But it seems like it just keeps happening back to back to back. And then are you guys noticing that we're not really hearing about these stories? I mean, this is just weird. Weird. Rest in peace to Breonna Taylor. Let me know what you guys think down below.
Mr. Medearis actually was able to flip the officer off of him, gain a position of advantage on the officer, on top of the officer. They continued to struggle. At one point, Mr. Medearis grabbed the officer's taser that was on the ground.
Chief Art Acevedo describes the encounter between his officer and 48-year-old Adrian Medearis that ended deadly when Medearis was shot twice and killed.
I'm lost for words right now still. I'm not believing it.
This is Medearis' brother, Audric. Tonight he speaks on his big brother's character.
Smiling, playful. He's a big kid. He's a godfather.
It was Friday around 1 a.m. when police say he was stopped off of the North Freeway for driving almost 100 miles per hour. Chief Acevedo says Medearis failed a field sobriety test and then became aggressive with the officer who tried to arrest him.
In my 41 years of...
I got an article here from HoustonChronicle.com. Family responds as Acevedo details shooting that killed gospel artist Adrian Medearis. This was posted May 12th of 2020. The family of a Houston man fatally shot by police called him a talented gospel recording artist on the rise. Moments before Police Chief Art Acevedo on Monday held a press conference to break down video of the deadly struggle. Adrian Medearis, age 48, most recently directed the gospel choir at Evangelist Temple Church of God in Christ in South Acres. He was also a former director for the Prairie View A&M Baptist Student Movement Gospel Choir and founder of God's Anointed People, a contemporary gospel group. I have another article here from NPR.org. Family asks Houston police not to release fatal shooting video of gospel singer. This was posted May 13th of 2020. After days of public demands for access, the Houston Police Department announced it would not release video of the deadly shooting of a black man. For days, the victim's family said they had not been allowed to see video captured by the officer's body camera or the dashboard footage. But on Wednesday, Acevedo said that had changed. We met with Mr. Medearis' family yesterday and reviewed the video evidence with them, Acevedo said on Twitter. At the end of our meeting, the family asked Houston police to not release the videos, and we will honor their request. The killing has incensed various communities across Texas, Harris County, as it comes on the heels of another officer-involved shooting of a 27-year-old man named Nicholas Chavez, who is believed to have had a mental illness. The back-to-back shootings, Chavez killing occurred on April 21st, have raised questions about proper training and the use of excessive force by police. In a Tuesday rally, members of the Greater Houston Coalition for Justice said communities expect the devastating incidents will help shine a light on the department's practices. We want transparency, Isidro Garza, one of the group's board members, said. Garza added that those in the organization believe the department and Chief Acevedo often hide behind the excuse it's under investigation to avoid releasing unflattering or damning information in cases often involving poor people and people of color. In a news conference Monday, Acevedo shared some details about the brief but violent incident, saying that the struggle between Officer J. Ramos and Medearis lasted about 2.5 minutes. For a moment, it appeared as if Medearis had been subdued, but when Ramos tried to call for backup, he lost control of Medearis and the fight continued. At that point, the suspect, Mr. Medearis, actually was able to flip the officer off of him, gain a position of advantage of the officer on top of the officer, he recounted. They continued the struggle. At one point, Mr. Medearis grabbed the officer's taser that was on the ground, and as they were struggling, the officer saw that Mr. Medearis had armed himself with the taser, drew his service pistol, started creating space, and then Mr. Medearis, when he aimed it at him, the officer discharged 4 rounds. Officials said Medearis was taken to a hospital where he died. Not everybody wants their loved one to be in cyberspace for the rest of eternity and for their last minute on Earth to be public, Acevedo said. Another sad and tragic story. I want you guys to send love, light, and positivity to all of these families. Also, rest in peace to Adrian Medearis. I know a lot of people are going to say that he shouldn't have fought back, but we'll never truly know what took place on that camera because the family does not want that released. And I understand that, people don't want that final image of their family member out here in the internet forever. But when it comes to the case of whether there was a just reasoning behind your family member's death, that's something that the public does need to see and know. Let me know what you guys think about this story down below. Thank you for tuning in to another LA Show's current events. I do apologize if these stories were hard to hear and listen to. However, like I said, we do need to be aware of these stories going on in our communities. Please subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications for more, and I will be back. Also, you can find me on all of these social media platforms. Follow me, show some love, and I'll return it.